time for the Wrestling Perspective podcast here on WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. I'm Dennis Farrell. He's the Canadian beloved national treasure, Petey Williams.
Oh, how's she going, eh?
Now, at the beginning of this podcast, no matter how long this music goes, do you stand with your hand over your heart?
Yeah, I'm still standing because the music's playing in the back there and it's fading out, so now I get to sit down. Good. Oh. Yeah, I have to. It's the Canadian national anthem. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
We need to find something a little less patriotic, a little in between.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, that's been my music for, since 2004, so I don't know if I can ever have a different theme song. I mean, I've had some before, but they just don't stick. It always comes back to this one.
We have a lot to talk about this week. It is Wrestlemania week. And Petey, the one thing about Wrestlemania that I miss, I don't know what year it stopped, was Vince McMahon doing the lead-ins. It's Wrestlemania! To me, that was always the cherry on top of an amazing night of wrestling.
You know, Vince McMahon was I loved his commentary. I really dig, his on screen with him and whoever the color guy was, because he was always a play-by-play guy at the beginning. And then, man, he was just so into it. You don't hear that passion anymore. I know they're trying to treat it more as a sport now, and you don't hear football guys going nuts like Vince McMahon would go nuts. But I mean, man, I hope he. I don't know. Maybe he could clone himself or something, and then just put himself in that spot. I really liked his commentary.
It wasn't bad, but at the very beginning of every WrestleMania, where he did kind of the recap, it's WrestleMania. Watch as the Big Boss Man takes on Coco Beware. To me,
yeah,
that was always. I geeked out. Even still now, I went back and watched the Mega Powers Explode. And Vince McMahon, WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan, Macho, phenomenal.
Yeah, I loved it back in that era. And the thing is, when he was doing commentary and Roddy Piper, Macho Man, all those guys, man, there was just so much energy in it. And it's just not like that anymore. Commentary is great now and stuff like that. I just think they have to do too much to tell stories, and there's too much action going on, and maybe they're putting too much thought into it. I don't know, but it didn't even matter what they said. It really did not matter the words coming out of their mouth. It was the emotion behind it that I think attracted us as kids to the product.
It died when Jim Ross left. It's ever since then it's been very corporate structured. Jim Ross, I feel was the last for that WWE emotional announcing group.
Yeah, him and Jerry Lawler were a very good team together. And I was even watching, what was I watching the other day? I don't know, some sort of 2005 Destination X. I caught it really quick. I watched a match. And just listening to Mike Tenay and Don West, I mean, they're just yelling into their headset, but it was so much emotion behind it and stuff, and I'm man, where'd all the emotion go in wrestling? I mean, we're calling it more a play-by-play sport now, it seems which I don't like. I wish we had one of those over-the-top guys that just went nuts into the microphone. I really do.
We have a lot to talk about on this podcast. Of course, it's going to be WrestleMania heavy, but we have some Impact coming up this weekend stuff to talk about. Impact taking on Lucha Underground. What's the storyline behind this? Because I'll be honest, as a fringe fan of Impact, I don't know what the lead up is. Is there a storyline? Is there just we're gonna versus you guys and see what happens at the end? Is it poor storytelling? What's going on here?
I think it's gonna. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's cool though, because you have. Okay, look at the people like Johnny Impact and a couple of the other guys. Johnny Impact's the big one that were wrestling for Lucha Underground, and now they're wrestling for Impact all of a sudden, and they can do both and stuff. So it's kind of like a cross promotion, which is really cool. When you think of, you got WWE obviously where they're at, but then you have all these other promotions. You got Ring of Honor, Impact, Lucha Underground, Evolve, like just a bunch of, we'll call them second rate because they're not WWE. Obviously, they don't have the marketing and all that kind of stuff behind it. But then if they can combine together, like, I think it's kind of cool, like Lucha Underground versus Impact. That's like, that'd be equivalent of like Lucha Underground versus ROH or Impact versus ROH. It's something different, I feel, that can bring and build hype to the already stacked WrestleMania weekend and all the independent shows around it. Like, every single promotion, is going to be in New Orleans this weekend. That's just what it's going to be. And what's going to bring people to see Impact over like any other show? Well, let's do Impact versus Lucha Underground, because that's going to create buzz. I think that's what they were going for, and it's going to be good because they, even though it's going to be on Twitch and all that kind of stuff, Lucha Underground has their El Rey network, and they're with MGM and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like just more eyes, more viewers for both companies. So it's going to benefit both companies. Why it's going to be like, hey, Lucha versus Impact, I don't know, other than the buzz, I feel. I don't know I don't think there's a storyline or anything behind it.
It's happened before where two organizations teamed up and did something like this. If they stuck with it, if Impact and Lucha and Ring of Honor, if these guys kind of grouped together, kept their own names but grouped together and did more things with each other, could that change the way indie wrestling is seen? Not that, I guess you could kind of call the way Impact and Lucha and all these guys still indie wrestling because they're gone to more contracted wrestlers and limited schedules, but could it change the way that smaller wrestling organizations are seen and maybe even challenge WWE, not on the main scale, but for internet viewership?
Yeah, I think we talked about this before because, I think we touched on it because I said I think, and I don't know this for sure or at all, this is just my speculation, that you look at D'Amore, and I know he's trying to rebuild Impact because, they burned a lot of bridges and stuff like that. And you see now, like, he's doing stuff with, like, Lucha Underground, Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore, all that kind of stuff that those companies before would have had nothing to do with Impact. So I don't know if he's trying to, like, formulate, like, a super company, like, of all the, people that aren't WWE, and then kind of come together and be like, hey, this is what you can watch. Everybody that's not in WWE is working for this company or whatever the case may be. The only problem with that is there's a head on each of these companies. Like, you got Ed Nordholm running Impact, and then I don't know who's the head of Lucha Underground or Ring of Honor and all that kind of stuff. But, when you get a lot of chiefs in one room, those chiefs, don't like to be Indians. Like, who's going to take the leadership and stuff like that? So I think that's where it would fail. Not so much that the talent would have any problem working with each other or whatever the case may be. It's just that who would take ownership of the company? Who, like, would they split it all? Like, if it was three companies, split it all a third? How would it work? Those are logistic things that you have to look at from a business standpoint. Vince McMahon doesn't have that problem because he owns, it's his company. Mm-hmm. Until he dies, it's his company. So
I find more excitement.
That's the tough part about it.
I find more excitement into something like that. You never know who's going to pop up, and that could be a true blue invasion angle right there.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of. I think that's going to bring eyes to. That's something different that they're going to be seeing in that WrestleMania weekend. And I just saw an announcement. I'm like, Scott Steiner and Teddy Hart versus the Chris brothers. I'm like, wow, that should be a very interesting match. I don't know who's representing Lucha Underground, but it doesn't matter.
Teddy Hart, who I've heard you talk about him before.
Yep. Yeah, he was in Team. He's like Bret Hart's like nephew or something like that. He was in the first Team Canada. That's when I first met him. He was the captain of Team Canada back before like Eric Young and Bobby Roode weren't around. And yeah, for whatever reason, like back in that, like he was, I mean, I don't know how the whole story goes, but he was hired by WWE, like I think on 2 different occasions and was fired both times. Just because, he's young, he didn't have his head on straight and stuff like that. And still, even Impact didn't want to really use him. Like he burned a lot of bridges along the way. And that's why Teddy Hart was like, his popularity was rising in probably like 2004-ish. But then he would like not show up to shows, or I don't know what the whole problem was, but he burned a lot of bridges, had a lot of heat with people. As I was there when Teddy Hart and Punk had their actual fight outside of the White Trash Cafe in Nashville. But like I think he's trying to mend the fences now, and get back into it and all that kind of stuff. And I just talked to him like was it August? He actually showed up to the Impact tapings and stuff. So it seems like he's trying to get everything squared away. He's older now, so maybe he's settling down and stuff and realizing that what he did when he was younger wasn't the right thing to do.
Is he the guy, and I'll try to be a little polite with the way I say this, but was supposed to be at a show and could not make it due to unforeseen circumstances?
That you're being too vague on that one, because there's a lot of people that do that.
I'll just come out and say it. Was he the guy? Because I feel like we were at a show together once, and maybe he was supposed to show up, but he got arrested.
Oh yeah. So I'm pretty sure he was in jail or something like that, but he got all that taken care of. Yeah, he was in that he was supposed to be at that Kobo show, I believe, right?
Kobo?
No.
Up north in northern Michigan, right? Saginaw?
I don't know.
Well, didn't
maybe
someone else show up instead?
I think so, or maybe it was like an XICW show. Yeah, but you're on the right track with that one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there we go. So, feeder shows, all that stuff's cool. You're not going to be down there. You're going to be hanging out. So that's cool. You and I will get to hang out and do WrestleMania together. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's going to be fun. That's one show that I've always, as much as, there was a period of time, I think in like 2006 to 2008, I didn't know anything that was going on in WWE, like nothing at all. And, but I always made sure I watched WrestleMania. I've watched all of them since I was a kid. So it's almost like a tradition, like watching the Super Bowl kind of deal. Like even if you don't watch football or whatever, you're going to watch the Super Bowl. And it's the same thing with WrestleMania. Like I'm going to watch it, every single one till the day I die, probably, regardless of what's happening on the show or not. But just because it's a tradition. It brings back memories of me watching with my dad and all that kind of stuff. And it's a good time, regardless of what happens.
Well, I'm really excited that you turned down bookings to hang out with me for WrestleMania.
Hey, that's no problem. I'd much rather watch it than be wrestling in or around it. Good. So let's move on. You had some interesting stuff you want to talk about Impact before we move on to WWE. Yeah, no, they had. I know they always say, like on the media calls and stuff like that, like Impact's rebuilding and on the upswing and stuff like that. But I know they're going to start, looking into going over to the UK again and all that kind of stuff. I know Impact does have a big following in the UK. They last Friday, I believe, was like their biggest day in the history of their YouTube channel. So like their views, like I think they were like their previous like record was like 1.5 million. I think last Friday was like 1.9 million. Their likes went up like a couple hundred. Their watch time went up to like 3.4 minutes to 4.8 minutes. And now they're getting up to, I think, 30 million views per month. And same thing with like the social media, like their impressions now on Twitter are getting over 1 million impressions a day. Which in quarter 4 of 2017, they were at like 300,000. The Pop show now, or their show on Pop since they moved there in 2016. They're actually like on an upswing. It's like I think their rating last week, or they had like almost 400,000 viewers or something like that, which is the second most since when Matt Hardy did that what was that called? That deletion.
Ultimate Deletion.
Well, that's what he did on Raw, but whatever it was called.
It was still. I think it was still the same thing. I think they kept.
Yeah, it was called something else. Like I want to say it was like a variation of the deletion. So yeah, their Twitch channel surpassed 500,000 views. So yeah, no, just everything's looking good. I know they got Redemption coming up April 22nd, then 4 days of tapings after that. We already talked about this. The next set of TV tapings will be in my hometown of Windsor, Ontario, Canada, and that's June 1st and 2nd. And then they got, I believe they announced the Slammiversary date, which is that's like Bound for Glory is like their WrestleMania. Their SummerSlam is like Slammiversary, and that'll be July 22nd. And they're going to do 2 TV tapings, July 23rd and 24th. They don't have the venue announced yet, but I believe it's not going to be in Orlando. I just don't think it's finalized of what's going on with where that's going to be, but it looks to be outside of Orlando. And in August, they have another couple tentative dates of August 12th and 13th for TV taping. So, they got TV taping scheduled all the way up through the summer. I don't know if there's any other stuff in between. I'm sure there is, but, they're trying to nail some things in stone. And, yeah, it's exciting to be a part of now. It's always good when it reminds me back of when I first started with Impact in 2004. And when we first went down to Orlando, everybody was excited. The company was on the upswing and stuff like that. This is what it's reminding me of again. It's like they're not going out on a limb, but they're doing different things to try to rebuild and stuff like that. And now it feels like we're back on the upswing. And that's what you want to be in a company. You want to be in the upswing.
How much longer do they have in their contract with Pop?
I believe. Guess. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So August, we went down there for tapings, and then we didn't go back. So I think it's like September. They signed on for another year in September, so they're going to be there till at least September. So I mean, this is good because that's when they announced that their app. So yeah, but it'll be good though because now that they're showing upward trends, maybe they stay on Pop, maybe they go to a different network, whatever the case may be. But it's all good stuff as long as we keep this trend going up.
I feel like if they stayed on Pop, it would be a loss to them at this point. Pop doesn't really offer much other than probably a small TV contract. You look at what Ring of Honor, I don't know the numbers of what Ring of Honor's television contract is versus Lucha versus yours, but I'd have to guess that yours is substantially smaller than the other two.
I'm not sure how all that works. All I know is it's really hard to get on a television network and have like a slot. You know what I mean? Like you look at great shows out there. Like Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore, not on television, but he puts on phenomenal shows. It's just the thing is, it's not that your product isn't good. It's that you have to solidify a slot on television. That's the toughest part. And, sometimes it's like, it's tough to say because if you think like, say if Impact wasn't on TV right now, never was on Spike or anything like that, and they're right now, given the product that they had now, would they be able to get on TV? I don't know. Like with the product they have, I don't know. When we first got on, like they had a lot of like big names and all that kind of stuff. When we switched over to Spike, they had the Dudleys coming off hot from WWE and everything. It's things like that. So, getting on TV is the tough part. Staying on it, that's a little bit easier because you already have that trend of, these guys can do television. Doing television is a lot harder than everybody thinks. It's not just turn on the camera and start filming. It's so much more. And
I'm a little bit worried about this rumor that WWE may leave USA and go over to Fox Television. Looking back in the past, and maybe I'm looking back with like, hindsight or revisionist eyes, or I may even be completely wrong in what I'm about to say, but if it almost senses to me like anytime they left USA, the product was never as good. Like, it's almost like vanilla ice cream and chocolate. WWE and USA television should always be together.
Yeah, well, when they went to Spike, I thought their show was still good. I want to say it was like almost coming out of the Attitude Era or going into it or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, even when I was young and I lived in Canada when Raw first started, like 25 years ago, I'm like, ooh, what is this USA Network? Obviously, I'm Canadian, and we don't get the USA Network because it's called the USA Network, and it's not like satellite it is now, and we have thousands of channels. I remember growing up, I had like under 50 channels like to choose from. That's it. And I couldn't get it, and I couldn't watch it and all that kind of stuff. So I remember this USA Network being a thing back 25 years ago. So for them to leave the USA Network, I don't know if it's their best interest, but I mean, obviously they have people hired with skills in marketing, all that kind of stuff. So obviously it's a benefit. Are they going to go to like Fox, like Channel 2 Fox, or are they going like Fox Sports Net? Or
I think it's up to like Fox Sports Net. I'm not completely sure. You hear the rumors occasionally pop up on some of the news sites, and I don't pay that close attention to them, but it caught my eye. And then when we were talking about this, it really kind of had that feel of, boy, I don't know if I would be. You're going to follow the product, of course, and I'm going to watch to see how it's produced, if anything's different, but it just wouldn't be the same without watching, USA, and after WWE, watch Psyched or whatever the show is on next.
Yeah, no, I remember like on Spike TV, after this, watch Cops or something like that.
Love Cops.
Yeah, it's not. It's tough, and maybe that's why they want to switch to a Fox Sports Net, because it makes more sense if your lead-in is some sort of sports type of product, and and that gives you a better lead-in rather than your lead-in is like, I don't know, I don't even know what their lead-in now is on USA Network. Like it might be like Law and Order or something like that. So two totally different demographics, right? Like I feel like people that watch like Law and Order don't stick around and watch Raw. They're kind of like turning up, oh, this is wrestling, right? So maybe they're looking at a better like demographic per se.
I found on the Sportster, which is I guess one of those popular clickbait list sites, a pretty interesting top 15, top 14 kind of thing. I want to read a couple of these off. It's the top 15 poorest stats that current WWE superstars have.
Say that again, poor stats?
Stats that WWE superstars have. And a couple of them are pretty surprising. Like number 14, John Cena only has 5 pay-per-view wins since 2016.
Really?
Yeah.
How many has it been on? Does it say that?
It doesn't 20? Say. But 2016, I mean, that's almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean, all of 2017. I don't know if they're counting December 2006.
Yeah.
That 5 pay-per-view wins. I mean, that's not good for a top guy, but I mean, that goes to show that he's near the end of his career. He's trying to pass the torch, and I think he's doing a better job passing the torch than anybody else has in the past. Because usually when guys are done, like you look at a Stone Cold, I'm done. I'm walking out. The Rock, I'm done. I'm walking out. Maybe I'll put one guy over. But to stick around and constantly put guys over, making sure that you're set for the future, that's where a lot of companies fail, is because they don't plan for what's coming next. They're just kind of let's just wing it kind of deal. So it's I respect Cena for that, because he doesn't have to do this at all.
And whether or not you believe the backstage, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, or we talked about this many times where people protect their top spot, and I get and I understand that, where sometimes it just doesn't make sense to put somebody over and you put your foot down. But you're right. Whether you like him or hate him, Stone Cold didn't do that. Stone Cold put The Rock over at WrestleMania and then left. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's not really passing the torch, because Stone Cold The Rock was already the top guy at that point, anyways.
Yeah. No, he just got his win back from previous WrestleManias. No, not too many people do that. But then again, not too many people are John Cena, where they're in that spot where it's like, we could still use him for 2 more years and let everybody on the roster beat him, and he's still John Cena, and he's still going to be the most over guy. I mean, no matter what you do to him at this point in his career, there's not much you could do to hurt him at all. Like having him lose to whoever. He could probably lose to Kurt Hawkins tomorrow, and it would be like the biggest storyline because Kurt Hawkins hasn't won in 200 matches or something like that. So, and imagine if he was like Cena was the one that put him over. I mean, that would be huge, and it still would not hurt Cena, guaranteed. But it would totally make Kurt Hawkins.
Which totally different from The Undertaker, by the way, because The Undertaker's streak was special, and then he loses to Lesnar, which was shocking, and if he walked away, that would have been okay. Then he loses to Roman Reigns, and if we'll get to our predictions a little bit later, but if Undertaker and Cena happens, Undertaker goes 0-3. There was nothing special about his streak at that point. When you go 0-3 at the end of your career, so I don't know who it does anybody favors to, but I think Cena losing now is a lot different than what The Undertaker is doing.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me feels that Lesnar shouldn't have been the one. Lesnar didn't need to beat Undertaker. I mean, he was. I don't feel.
The Undertaker should not have lost. He should have retired with that record. Or
they could have waited and had Roman Reigns beat him if that's the guy they're going for, and then that be it. I feel like whatever his loss is, he's done. Like, to have him come back, like, I think he came back the next year and he won a match, right? Like, didn't he beat Bray Wyatt or
yes, I don't
Lesnar?
know.
Yeah, he came back, won a match, and then lost to Roman Reigns and stuff. So I don't know. I think I think the Undertaker's done pretty much.
And if you kind of look back at that streak, it's not all that impressive, really, at the beginning and the middle as it was towards the end with who he fought. I mean, Ali Grande. I mean, really, or I think that was one of them.
What, the Giant Gonzalez?
Yeah, yeah, there you go. I mean,
okay.
You look at some of the guys he beat early and in the middle of that streak, not impressive at all. Let's not kid ourselves. And by the way, the same people who complain about Brock Lesnar not being on TV enough as a champion are the same people that are cheering a guy that shows up once every WrestleMania and that's it.
Yeah, but maybe people, without even them knowing it in the back of their mind, going like, well, Undertaker's past his prime. He's old. He's just going to show up at WrestleMania to save his body. And in the front of their mind, they're saying, hey, Brock Lesnar is still in his prime. He's still a machine. You could see how he can really still move around the ring. Like, look at when he was just, him and Roman Reigns the past couple of weeks on Raw or whatever. Like, he's still moving and he has up still and, he can still go. So maybe that's why they're like, oh, it's okay. We only want to see Undertaker once a year as a special thing because he can't really move that well anymore.
Here's another one. Sami Zayn is 0-7 in championship matches on the main roster.
Oh, well, obviously, because he's never won a belt.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, okay, I can see that. What's another one?
Let's see here. Rusev has one of the worst win-loss records in the WWE right now. 28 wins, 97 losses.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even know that because he was, well, for a while he wasn't losing, and then I think he just lost 97 matches in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's what he did. He was the old school Russian, dude that was anti-American, and then just all the Americans beat him. Kind of, they built him up and have him beat him. So that doesn't surprise me. I mean, he's been on a losing streak as of late. At the beginning of his career, he was undefeated, right? Until Cena beat him at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Was that what it was? He won the U.S. titles?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Cena was that the one Rusev came out on the tank?
Yes.
Okay.
Or maybe Cena came out on the tank.
No, Rusev came out on the tank with the Bulgarian flag.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was years ago.
Yeah,
and then, on the beginning of his career. And then he's been losing ever since.
There you go. Here's another one. Are you ready for this one?
Yep.
Kurt Hawkins has 2 wins over The Undertaker.
What? How is this possible?
See? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Both victories Hawkins scored over The Undertaker took place nearly a decade ago. Hawkins was one of Edge's edgeheads, along with Zack Ryder at the time. Ryder and Hawkins and Edge teamed up to defeat The Undertaker in a 3-on-1 handicap match in 2008.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Good.
And then, again, the next week in a 4-on-1 handicap match where Vicky Guerrero joined the team.
Okay, so, I mean, maybe that's what he has to start going to. Maybe he has to do handicap matches where he has multiple guys on his side to win. Awesome.
Let's see. Bayley has won 1 match on pay-per-view in a year.
Yeah, I could see that. Her characters. And I feel bad because she did so well at NXT. And this is going back to the transition of NXT members to the main roster. And sometimes they don't, they don't work. And I really, it's happened to a lot of them. Some of them kind of pulled through. Some of them became better stars like Elias. He became a better star on the main roster than in NXT. So I hope that doesn't happen to Bobby where, like he kind of fizzles out because it looks like that's the way it's going. But, it didn't happen to Finn. So it's a crapshoot to see what's going to stick and what doesn't.
Here's another good one. Kane has lost 1,259 matches.
That's I wonder how many he's won, but yeah, I mean I could believe that. I mean he's been around for so long. He holds like Royal Rumble records and stuff like that. He holds a lot of other records. So I mean he probably lost a lot, and there's been times in his career where he was just putting everybody over, week after week. So
let's see. Here's another one. Chris Jericho was the one who came up with the Money in the Bank match. He has never won one.
I wonder how many he's been in.
Let's see. I'm trying to look here. I don't think it says anything here. Jericho doesn't have the worst record in Money in the Bank matches. However, Christian and Kofi Kingston are both 0-6.
Wow.
Yeah. So it doesn't say for Jericho.
Wow. Well, I mean, I got a pretty bad win-loss record when it comes to championship matches as well. I mean, I think everybody that's been in a champion or has been a wrestler has probably a losing record when it comes to championship matches.
Hey,
because what?
I was gonna change, but go ahead and finish.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say, like, it seems like almost every wrestler would have a worse win-loss record when it comes to championship matches, because when they're holding the belt, the only way they can retain is if they win, so there's a win. And then every single time they get a shot at the title, they're not going to win it. And I've had like so many different types of title shots. I've also defended the title quite a bit. So I would say my record, man, I should go look that up, or somebody should look that up to see what my win-loss record is in championship matches.
Everybody keeps talking about how, Triple H, and this is leading into the next one, by the way. Triple H is going to win because he's Triple H and Stephanie, and they have to bully their way onto the roster. But did you know Triple H has a losing record at WrestleMania?
I believe that. I mean, he's lost to Undertaker twice. He usually walks into WrestleMania years ago, like, 10, 15 years ago. He usually walks into WrestleMania as the champion and then loses it. Like, he lost it to I believe Batista that one year when Batista was hot, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I could definitely see that. Does it say what his record is?
It does. Triple H has a record of 9-12 at WrestleMania. His 12 losses are one more than the next biggest loser at WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, Shawn Michaels is a big loser at WrestleMania too. Yeah, I mean that's what happens because you're built up, and you go in as the champion, and then you lose. So, and that says something about you that you're still a draw with so many losses. Yeah. I thought Triple H's record was going to be worse than 9-12. That's not even that bad. I thought it'd be more like a 5-15 or something like that.
Yep. Nope. It's surprisingly not that bad. Let's see. I'm kind of skipping over some that are not very good. Dolph Ziggler went over a year without a pay-per-view win. I'm not shocked with that. Let's see here. It doesn't even give his pay-per-view record. Let's see. Oh, it does. He is 22-81 in pay-per-view events.
Whoa, that's a pretty bad record. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I have to. I wonder what my record is. I'm just curious. I bet you I have a losing record. Definitely, I guarantee it.
And then they go on with I don't even remember who it was. Was it Ric Flair's 18-time champion, right?
16. I think he's tied with Cena right now. Yeah.
16 times. And I remember him saying one time, I'm at this point I think it was like 14 times, right? He's like, I'm a 14-time champion. And the next guy goes, whoever he was wrestling goes, yeah, but that makes you like a 15-time loser. Yeah. And John Cena has lost the world championship 16 times.
Yep. Yeah, that's all it means.
Yeah.
Any championship you're that many time of a loser too, unless you're the current champion, then you're one less. So, yep. Let's
see. Now let's get into WrestleMania talk, because it's that season. It's that week. It's this show. I mean, this is our go home wrestling perspective podcast until the big day.
Yeah, I mean, and I tried to get predictions from my wife, but she literally didn't even know it was WrestleMania weekend until I asked her for some predictions, and that's how out of touch she is. But obviously, she wants John Cena to win. I said he might not even be wrestling. She's like, I don't care. I love that guy, and people just are upset that he has such a good soul, and I don't know why people hate him. So, yeah, she feels like John Cena is going to win. Undertaker's going to come back. She feels Lesnar is going to lose, and that Daniel Bryan will be a hit no matter what he does. So,
there you go.
Yeah. Oh, and the creepy guy with the lantern is going to make an appearance too.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's Bray Wyatt, right?
You would think.
Okay, so that's her prediction. So we got those out of the way.
Do you have a pen and paper? Because we need to keep track of these. Because I feel like we need to make a bet here. And as you look around yourself, which I know you're doing right now for pen and paper, here's what I would like to propose to you for a bet. Are you ready?
Yep.
You and I have a trip to Buffalo coming up.
Mm-hmm.
The loser, of course, we're taking my car because my car is built for long drives. The loser drives to Buffalo.
Yeah, that's cool. It's going to be awkward when we go across the border. Let's say I lose, and they're like, "Whose car is it?" I'm like, "It's his car," and they're going to be like, "Why are you driving?" That's gonna bring up some red flags.
You think so?
The border.
I would be like, sir, I'm not very familiar with the metric system, so I don't know how fast to go.
Yeah, we'll be good. But yeah, I'll take that bet on. That's no problem. I like driving. I don't mind driving at all.
Am I a bad driver?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think you did great. Yeah.
You've driven with me many times, and I'm not a big fan of driving, so I always wonder. I look over, and sometimes you're like a puppy looking out the window with just bright eyes, and you're like, And I think in the back of my mind, I think Petey's probably thinking I'm driving like an old man right now.
No. I've been in many people's cars before, and I did not feel like my life was threatened. I've been in cars before with people, and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to get out of this car alive. The way they're driving, either slow, fast, or I don't even know why they have a driver's license, whatever the case may be. But no, you're a totally fine driver. I don't mind driving. I know when we used to travel, I was the guy that drove. A lot of the times we'd get we'd always try to go for a minivan, believe it or not, because you could pack 6-7 guys in there. But sometimes we didn't get a minivan because we didn't. Maybe they weren't available or whatever. But I was always the guy. I didn't mind driving, and I love driving. So, I'll take this bet on. This is it, dude. I might, if I win, I get to drive. How about that?
Sweet. I like the way this bet's starting to sound every minute.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do that. Okay.
Let's start with the tournament finals for the vacated WWE Cruiserweight Champion, Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali. Who are you going with?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I want to say Cedric Alexander. For some reason, I feel like they're gonna portray him as like the top guy, and they're gonna have him chase the belt. But I'm like, I think they'll just give it to him now. He's been chasing it long enough. So I think Cedric Alexander.
This is one of these cases of just being different because you picked Cedric. I'm going to go with Mustafa here. I like what they've been doing with his build-up. Basically, he went from I hate to use the word jobber, but a jobber on 205 Live to now here he is. I like this story that they're portraying with him. I think he comes out on top.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I'll start with this one. As we said before, I think Brock Lesnar retains. I think he drops it in a Raw or Raw, maybe the one right after WrestleMania, two shows from now. But I think he walks out as a champion just to throw people off.
That's a good prediction right there. Just to throw people off because they like doing that. They don't like being so predictable. But you know what? For whatever reason, I just think they're gonna give it to Roman Reigns. They've been doing too much to build him up. He kicked out of 4 of John Cena's FUs, one of them being off the top rope, and one spear takes out Cena. I just think that they're going to give it to Roman Reigns. I just really do.
Okay. Well, you get to pick the next match, which is AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. Who are you going with, Petey?
Just because of the injury, I'll say Nakamura. And like we talked about before, Nakamura beat him before. This could be a good ongoing feud. So maybe this is the start of it. Maybe they'll switch the title back and forth and stuff like that. But I'll just say Nakamura.
I'm going to go AJ because you went Nakamura. But I'm with you. I think Nakamura walks out as the champion. But AJ, this could be match of the night potential, depending on how injured AJ is. But I'm going to say AJ. I think he defends. Miz versus Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. Pete, I'm going with the Miz to retain here.
Yeah, I think we already discussed this one, but I'll say Finn. I think that's what I said before. I could just see him. I think they're going to take it off of Miz just because I think Miz is going to be the next feud for Roman Reigns, and I think that'll be a hot feud. Just because Miz is he's just the guy. He's such on his game right now. It's unbelievable that he's got to get rid of that Intercontinental title. He's already done enough that he can with it and go back up to that heavyweight title picture.
Okay. U.S. Championship match. Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, Rusev, and whoever else doesn't have a match on SmackDown that feels like got thrown into this. And rumor has it the only reason why Rusev was put in was he kind of said he wasn't happy with the company, and it was rumored from some guy from Sports Illustrated that he asked for his release, and this is their way of smoothing things over. I think Rusev wins this match. I think he wins it despite that, but Rusev Day is getting so over, they have to give it to him.
Yeah, I want Rusev to win just because whenever somebody gets popular for not no reason, but The Office wasn't obvious hey, we're gonna start pushing Rusev. It just happened, and now they can't control it. So I always love seeing that, and I always get behind that. And I always think those guys are the best guys. But I think Jinder's gonna win for whatever reason. That's just him winning the U.S. title. I could see it kind of being the opposite because Rusev's always played that Russian guy that's always been the anti-American. I could see Jinder winning it and going in a feud with Rusev, and that's Rusev redeeming himself with the American people. So that's how I see it going.
I think I said once I'd love to see Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE title, and the crowd chant USA.
I think they did, didn't they?
Maybe.
When they fought, because they fought each other on a pay-per-view before, and they were probably chanting USA, so who knows.
But yep, I think Rusev wins. I love what Aiden English has been doing. I don't care if I ever see Aiden English wrestle again. This guy has been phenomenal with Rusev, and I hope they're smart enough not to separate these two.
Yeah, I don't. And if anything, they can make them a tag team. I think they already are tag teaming. So even if they don't do something with the singles and stuff like that, and I agree, like he's such a good. They're dynamic, and it's because it's such an odd couple. To like, it's like, who would have thought? And I want to know with a creative meeting where it's like, oh, let's put Aiden English with Rusev. Let's just try it out. Like, it just seems like two polar opposites. But I mean, sometimes that works. Opposites attract. So really good chemistry, and I really like what they're doing.
Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax. I'm going Nia Jax here.
What did I say? Did I say Nia last time?
I think you did too. It's okay if you did.
Yeah. I think so. I think Nia will finally get it. Alexa's had it for a long time. Yeah, that's what I think.
Charlotte versus Asuka.
Oh, man, there's so many ways you could do this one. And I don't know if they're going to have, like, Charlotte get DQ'd and keep the title, and that's Asuka's, she could still be undefeated, and then have her... But I don't know. Like maybe they're going to have Asuka win. I'm going to go with Asuka. So maybe they're going to have her win, beat Charlotte, and then have her keep the belt for like a year. Then that next year's WrestleMania, it's Ronda versus Asuka. So, maybe they'll keep her undefeated streak as the longest one ever, and Ronda knocks her off. I don't know. But I'll go with Asuka.
My fantasy booking here would be this is where Charlotte Flair turns heel, turns into the dirtiest player in the game, and cheats the lose, keeps the belt. You could even have the cash in somewhere in the middle. I don't care. But of the Money in the Bank from who has I forgot her name now. That's how
Carmella.
Yeah, that's how bad Carmella's been booked with this Money in the Bank. But I would like to see Charlotte Flair cheat the lose, and Asuka still gets the W. Charlotte still keeps the belt. It's too soon to put that belt on Asuka. I'd like to see Asuka chase it and make it mean more. There was no chase, and there was really no true build-up either to this. It seems like 2-3 weeks ago, she just showed up on SmackDown and chose Charlotte Flair when everybody's like, well, we're not seeing graphics of Asuka versus Bliss. What's going on here?
Yeah, there's always it just always seems like the babyface is chasing the title. Always. You look at every other match on this card that some of them are baby matches, but the babyface is chasing the title. Maybe this is the one where she doesn't need to chase it. She gets it, and then that's it. I'm the awesome babyface that the heels have to try to beat, and they can't because I'm undefeated. Kind of like a Goldberg type thing, minus the squash match. But maybe they book it differently.
Okay, well, Cesaro and Sheamus versus Braun Strowman and a partner to be named later. Who are you going with?
That's a tough one. Maybe I'll go with Braun and his partner. Man, I just don't know. Like we go back and forth on who his partner is going to be and stuff like that. Like Rey Mysterio or Elias or something like that, or even like
Bray Wyatt, maybe.
Oh man, that would be really cool if Bray was his partner. That would actually. Because he was in the Wyatt family before, so I think that'd be really cool, yeah. But I'll go with Braun and whoever his partner is.
I'm going Cesaro and Sheamus, like legit. I think whoever Braun's partner is going to take the pin.
Ooh, that's actually if they do lose, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah,
for sure. The Braun's partner will take the pin. It depends, like. It'll be interesting to see who they have like if they have Rey Mysterio debut. I think they're both going over because you can't just beat Rey in his like re-return. I don't know. There's so many ways you could do it. I really wish. I'm intrigued to see who the partner is. That's what's going to be the big thing is who's the partner.
I'm
And
glad
the
they
match I
waited.
feel will be secondary.
I'm glad they waited.
Yeah, no, me too. It's good. They don't have enough like mystery partners ever, like whether it be at a pay-per-view or WrestleMania, but they don't do that enough. And I used to like when they used to have mystery partners.
Next match, Usos versus New Day versus Bludgeon Brothers, and I don't know if there's anybody else in this match, but it was it the three-way tag team championship match. Who are you going with?
I've been saying a lot of titles switching hands, so let's just keep it. Usos have it right now, right?
Yep.
You know what? I don't know, man. This is tough because if you keep it on the Usos, that kills everything else. Maybe we'll give it to the. I don't know. This is tough booking. I don't know how I would book that. Let's just stick with the Usos. I'll just stick with the Usos.
I'm gonna give it to the Bludgeon Brothers.
That's what I was gonna say at first, but I'm like, I don't know, man, because then it's somebody new on there. That's exactly what I was thinking. But it just seems like everything I picked has been a title change so far, and I'm like, I don't think it's gonna be like that.
Bludgeon Brothers. So we got another disagree. That's good. Angle, Ronda versus Triple H, Stephanie. I'm gonna let you pick this one first.
You know, it's gotta be Angle and Ronda. Did the
WrestleMania stat have anything to do with you picking?
No. I feel so. Ronda's making her debut, okay, and they have her as like the top star of this company right now. They can't have her lose in her opening match. They don't even do it to regular debuting stars. They're not going to do it to somebody as high profile as her. She's not going to lose. You got Kurt Angle, his second match in WWE in like 10 years. First WrestleMania match back. That you just can't have him lose. You got Stephanie, who's not even like an active wrestler anymore, hasn't wrestled in forever, and you got Triple H, who he has no problem putting people over because he's more of an office guy now than a wrestler. So it's got to be Angle and Ronda.
I agree with you. This one will have to go as a tie. I agree with you. A lot of people are complaining that Triple H and Stephanie are trying to bully their way onto this card, but I couldn't think of a better way to introduce Ronda Rousey than in this match, where you immediately supplant her as a babyface. You could easily start setting up maybe the female version of Austin versus McMahon, where you have Ronda versus McMahon. They're really doing a good job of, whether she's a good actor or not, you got to give her time to develop. She didn't come from this world, so she's not automatically going to learn to cut a promo. That stuff will come in time, and I'm going to keep an open mind and forgive her on any mistakes she makes while trying to grow into whatever character she's trying to build into. But I like the fact that they're trying to build her into kind of a Roddy Piper, Stone Cold Steve Austin type person.
Yeah, like the female version of it. I like it because and Stephanie's the perfect person to put her up against. Like you said, it's almost like the Vince McMahon Stone Cold, because Stephanie, she could turn a crowd on her. Well, first off, they don't cheer her when she comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never. So, she's already like the ultimate female heel. And they're potentially playing with fire if they put Ronda up against any other female, because there's a shot that they might cheer that other female. There's no way that Stephanie's getting cheered. It's not going to happen. Triple H can go back and forth. Like, he could swing back and forth with the breeze of the wind. It doesn't matter. One day he could show up on NXT, the biggest babyface. The next day he could show up on Raw, be the biggest heel. That's the way and it's great that he can do that. But Stephanie, she's 100% heel, and it's just going to make, people want to see her get ass kicked by Ronda Rousey. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, and look, a lot of people are really bashing her with smiling in the promo and all this stuff, and can you blame her? if she's as big as a wrestling fan as she says, I would be smiling too if I was in the middle of a ring with them. And you just have to forgive it, and you just let her grow, because this is her she's thrown into the fire, essentially. So I can't just judge her right out of the bat. I'm going to give her time, and I'm going to watch her grow, and hopefully next year we can talk about how far she's come.
Yeah, like most improved wrestler of the year, whatever the case. It's okay to smile. I mean, in real life, okay, look at Ronda Rousey in real life. She's a legit fighter, okay? If somebody that's not a legit fighter came up to you and started like spewing like, you know, like words at you that were like, you know, I hate you, and try to get under your skin, Ronda, like in real life, if this were a real life situation, Ronda Rousey would probably smile and be like thinking in her head, like, I can actually kill this person right now. Like, it just, you almost have to smile it off so that you don't get upset and like destroy this person. So in real life, that's what she probably would do to somebody like at a bar, came up to her, start picking a fight with her. She'd probably smile and be like, who are you trying to kid? You know? So, I mean, maybe that's her character. She smiles because she knows she can kill you.
Let's see here. And finally, Daniel Bryant, Shane McMahon, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. If Sami and Owens wins, they get rehired. Who are you going with? It's a no-brainer.
I mean, you got to rehire them, right? But like, there's got to, you know what? Daniel Bryan, he's so protected, even though if it's his first match back, that he can lose. So I say Sami and Kevin are going to win this.
I'm going Sami and Kevin only because Daniel Bryan turns heel and turns on Shane McMahon.
You know what? That's like a thing WWE wanted to do for so long, is to turn Daniel Bryan heel.
I think it happens. I truly believe Daniel Bryan is turning on Shane.
But are they going to cheer him? Like,
who cares?
I know. I just WWE. Remember when they tried to do that with the Wyatt family, had them join, and it wasn't long. They were like, "Oh, we can't do this because people are still."
Yeah.
Man, it's. Yeah, I mean, I could see that heel turn, sure, but maybe Shane's gonna be the one turning heel. Like they're kind of telegraphing it. Like Bryan's gonna turn heel, but then Shane does. I don't know. It's a lot of interesting stuff is gonna come out of WrestleMania.
Yep.
Like a lot, I feel. Yeah.
Someone's turning on someone. That's the only way Zayn and Owens wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
And finally, for tiebreakers and for giggles here, Cena versus The Undertaker. Now, it's not an announced match. Some people say there was going to be a segment. Some people are saying there's going to be a match. Here's my fantasy booking. And you give me your fantasy booking, winner and loser, and whoever's closest gets the point. I think they show Cena in the crowd eating popcorn. And they throw the big graphic up. Look at John Cena here as a fan, And all of a sudden you hear bong. That's the only way that happens, right?
Yep.
So
is that how it's going to happen?
That's how I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, they could do that.
Well,
I don't know what I would do. Like, you kind of have to. You kind of have to give them the match. I mean,
right.
Or something. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Let's see. What would I do if I was the booker? Obviously, Cena come out first. Have him come out through the back, like the ramp and stuff. Give him his whole entrance and all that. Have him, cut his promo. He goes to leave the ring, and there's the dong, and there's the mat. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, I disagree.
I mean, yours would be more like. I would like it more as a fan. I just don't think they would do that. That's a great question. I mean, that's something I would have to think on.
And who wins?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Double count out. Let's say, maybe the Undertaker wins. Yeah. Cena doesn't need to win. He'll come back and win the next night. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Undertaker. He needs the win right now.
Can you believe you're saying that? Undertaker needs
I
the
know.
win.
Under needs the win right now, but he does, man. Like, he just can't keep showing up at WrestleMania. Like, the last, 5 years WrestleMania, his record's worse than, like, his first 20, So, yeah, you got to give Undertaker the win.
You're absolutely right. And let's see here. We had a couple tweets we wanted to read here. I asked, I tweeted out, what were you guys most excited about and least excited about? Double A says he's excited about Gable and Benjamin. They're intriguing a little more now, but they're just so much lost in the mix that I don't care.
Yeah, and they are. And like, this goes back to what we were saying before. You don't want to just be like, hey, you're a tag team. Oh, yeah, there's a 3-way tag team match. Let's make it a 4-way tag team match or something like that. Like, you don't want to just throw everybody on the card. There's some people have to step back and just watch the show or whatever, or be in that battle royal or whatever the case may be. I know they're trying to get everybody on the show, but the show's like already, 15 hours long and all that stuff. Like, it just doesn't feel special if there's so many multiple man matches. So if they're off the show, they're off the show. Big deal.
MGB Wrestling Podcast said the least they're excited about is a show going on so long that you have to get up early in the morning. And the most he's excited about is Ronda Rousey, even though it's a tag team match, which I kind of agree with both.
Yeah, and like I just said, 15 hours long, it seems like. The show goes on till, I believe, almost midnight now, and it's on a Sunday. It's fine if you're watching UFC Saturday night. The main event goes on at midnight, but you're not usually waking up at Sunday morning for work. So,
right.
It kind of it'd be interesting to see what they're like, how their stream. I don't know if they have like counts, like their viewership and stuff like that. To see if it drops off like after. I remember the first time when it went on after 11. I was like, wait, is this the last match? No, there's still 2 more matches. I'm like, is this going on until 12? It was a couple of years ago. It was the first time they went past 11. And I was like, man, this is... I remember as I was saying, it's like a couple of my buddies were like, I got to work in the morning. I got to go. Like, I have a half-hour ride home, all this kind of stuff. So, that's probably the worst part is how long the event is. And it shows the crowd dies out, too. I mean... the big main event they want to watch, they're almost ready to go home because it's the next day, pretty much. And the most excited, Ronda Rousey. I'm more interested to see how it's going to turn out. I know it's going to be overly produced because Triple H is going to have his hand in it, and he's going to make sure every footstep is going to be measured properly and all that kind of stuff because he's going to want to make his investment look really good. But I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out and what they're going to do with it, definitely.
Michael David Savage, which sounds like an awesome wrestling. You know what? That's going to be my manager name in Buffalo is Michael David Savage.
Dude, are you going to switch your name or are you going to be...
I kind of have to, right? But part of the dream is being somebody else.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm gonna be...
Are you going to have to switch your name on this podcast?
No.
You're going to be a big star.
Maybe one day we'll work it out, but in Buffalo, May 19th, come see Michael David Savage. Raw. As I don't cut a promo and lead somebody out who doesn't even know who I am or cares that they'll just be like, pat me on the head and be like, all right, you just stand over there and let me do my thing.
Yeah.
But I'll be Michael David Savage, the lone manager.
Well, what'd the real Michael David Savage say on Twitter?
Oh, the real one says he's looking forward to the Ring of Honor card, some great matches, hoping Dashwood from WWE steals the show and finally gets the title she deserves. That's a good one.
Okay.
Our good friends over at Fansided DDT, you guys go over there and check them out. Daily DDT or Fansided DDT on Twitter. He's looking forward to the Alexander versus Ali match the most. He hopes these two steal the show. Look, they could easily steal the show if they're given enough time and have a good spot. They will not be able to steal the show if they're on the pre-show.
Well, they'll be on the pre-show, I believe. I'm almost 100% sure they'll. I think they already announced that they're going to be on the pre-show, and it'll be fine. They'll have the best match on the pre-show, and it might be they'll have a great match. I don't know if the fans will be into it. You just never know. What I think the best event on this weekend will be is the NXT TakeOver event on Saturday. They always do so well. I'm excited to watch that, and yeah, I mean we'll see how that goes. We'll see if that's better than that actual WrestleMania.
This will be, and I'll be honest with you. This will be the second NXT pay-per-view I'll watch live. Normally, I'll wait a day or two, or somewhere in the middle of the week to catch up on it, just because WrestleMania takes a lot, and then you got Raw and SmackDown. But this will be the second takeover that I actually watch live.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll watch it live, but I'm definitely going to watch it because there's a lot of, I mean, I want to see EC3's debut, man. Like that.
Hey, he's your
boy. But there's a lot of other good, there's a lot of good stuff that's going to be on that card. I hope they give Aleister Black the title. They should just give it to him. I feel like it's his time. They've been building him up so well, and just to have him lose would not be good. I don't think they want to. That's going to be obviously the main event. So, yeah, that'll be an interesting card, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's our predictions. You were always interested into yours, Petey. We got to thank the fans again. What seems like every week we thank them. It's a thankless job to thank you guys, the fans, but without you and everything you've done, we really wouldn't have anything to brag about, and we kind of have something to brag about, don't we, Pete?
Yeah, our top of the charts, pretty much, for our podcast.
Wow, that blew me out. Normally, I'm the guy sending you texts going, dude, look, we made it to 10th and 12th, and this time it was you.
Yeah, I looked at it to see where we were, because I know we were like around like 3 or 4, all this kind of stuff, because you always send it to me, and I'm like, I'm bored, let me see. Well, number 2. I'm like, why are we number 2 right now? I'm like, okay, and then I send it to you. I'm like, is this right? I mean, I don't know how they measure all this stuff or whatever, but number 2 seems to be, pretty good out of like the top 25 on sports and recreation. And yeah, so whatever the fans are doing, keep on doing it. We're loving it, and we love talking about wrestling for you guys.
It's quite amazing. If you don't know where to find this podcast, we're on Stitcher and iTunes. If you don't have either one of those, you can go over to iHeartRadio. We're also on TuneIn. You can even go over to the website, WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. I know it's a lot to type in, but it won't break your fingers unless your finger's already close to being broken. Take that in, and you can listen live from the webpage. There's a little photo gallery of Petey and I, and sometimes we're hanging out, and other times he's giving some of the Canadian Destroyer, and I'm pretending to be on ESPN Radio in some of the pictures. So there's also a contact form where if you have a question for the podcast or even a comment, we keep getting amazing comments. The one guy who got mad at us for spoiling the show sent us another complimentary email again. So we've changing hearts and minds, Petey.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't think we said one spoiler on this show. Should we at least do a spoiler?
Sure.
I think there's only a couple weeks till Redemption.
Say spoiler
I think I'm on,
first. You gotta say spoiler first.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
No,
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Oh.
I just, I've already announced that I'm going for the X Division title, so there's going to be a lead up with myself, Matt Seidel, Josh Matthews, and all this kind of stuff. So, just stay tuned. Thursdays on Pop TV, 8 o'clock.
There you go. Nice little plug, by the way, for the people who ignore us.
Yeah, right.
Little jab there.
You can see Impact on Twitch. That's where the Lucha Underground versus Impact is going to be. I will not be on the show. Or maybe I will. Maybe I'm surprising you, and I'm doing the anti-spoiler right now. I'm just telling you I'm not going to be there.
Oh, I'm going to be mad if you do show up to that show, because I got guacamole just for you.
Guacamole?
I don't know. That was the first thing I could think of.
No, I love guacamole, actually. So I'm excited to taste your guac.
Maybe we should end it with that.
Yeah, we probably should.
All right. Remember, you can follow PD at IPDWilliams on Twitter. You can follow me at Dennis77Farrell. You can also go over to WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com, and every link to anything you want for this podcast is there. Our social media, our Facebook page, which, by the way, go over to Facebook and like Wrestling Perspective Podcast. We have a buddy who runs the Facebook page, Russ. He will actually be at WrestleMania weekend. He will be doing some live videos of him dressed up as Sting this year. He'll be doing some Facebook Lives, walking around, showing the venue filling up beforehand. So there's going to be a lot of cool live videos and pictures from WrestleMania weekend from Russ there.
Yeah, oh, he's like our, what's that called? The reporter guy that goes on the scene. Yeah, he's our correspondent. Great. We even have a correspondent. This is so awesome.
And I think over on the Facebook page too, Sharpshooter Steve did a series where he broke down each match from what needed, in his perspective, what needed to happen, what should happen, and what probably will happen.
Awesome. See, we're delegating.
Yeah,
but it's working. This is great. We have like a team now.
Hey, one day we can delegate the podcast and let 2 other people do it, and we'll just reap all the benefits.
Welcome to the Wrestling Perspective Podcast with Petey and Dennis. But Petey and Dennis aren't here.
This
is what it's called.
Yeah, and every week we just don't show up anymore.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So thank you, fans, for everything. What?
No, that's what. Remember the Regis and Kelly show? But like there was always somebody filling in for Regis.
Oh, yeah.
Finally, like they got rid of him, and now it's something else. Oh man, that's what I'm thinking.
So we're like Regis and Kelly.
Kind of, I would say. Like when I don't show up, like with Petey and Dennis, and like for a year I don't show up, but you still use my name for the podcast.
Oh, that's gonna happen anyways. I mean,
yeah.
I'm gonna get a text and be like, dude, I'm burnt out of the podcast. I'm gonna have to take some time off. I'll be like, all right, welcome to the Wrestling Perspective with Petey and Dennis. Petey can't make it this week.
And we have a guest. Yeah, absolutely, it's gotta happen.
Every week you're gonna get bumped. Petey was gonna join us, but.
All right.
Oh, and by the way, not this week because it's almost over, but next week we're going to have Kevin Heffernan from Super Troopers. He was going to join us tomorrow night, but actually they're having their premiere of Super Troopers 2, which sadly takes a little bit of precedent over us.
Oh, he can't blow that off for our podcast?
No, I tried to see if he could call his people and switch the premiere date just so we can do our podcast, but I don't think it happened.
No, that's too bad. All right, well, next time.
And Ron Funches. I think you and I will have to work a little bit extra next week and just record a couple podcasts. But Ron Funches will join us next week too, which he's Pete. You got to look him up. He's one of the funniest guys around.
All right, yeah, no, I'll look him up and I'll make sure I do my research before we talk to him.
All right, guys, that's happy WrestleMania week. Happy Rusev Day, by the way. I can't believe that they actually booked WrestleMania on Rusev Day too. I'm shocked.
Yeah, me too.
So, happy WrestleMania. Look for our tweets. Be very involved with us. Petey and I, we thank you very much. Have a good week. Petey, say bye.
All right, we'll see you guys.